Gupta, we can start off.
As you say, sir.
So, at the outset, I'd like to welcome Mr. Nijay Gupta. A very good afternoon to all of you. So, my hearty welcome to all of you for a very interesting webinar on settlement of international trade in INR. We have my special thanks to, of course, Mr. Nijay Gupta. He's the chief mentor and principal consultant at FinRex. I thank you, Mr. Gupta, for sparing your time and addressing us today.
Thank you. Thank you.
Before I move forward, I'd like to just introduce Mr. Gupta to all the participants here. Mr. Gupta is an advisor for banks and corporates looking to establish their treasury, forex, and international trade finance functions. He has chaired the head of treasury and for forex money matters in Anthrip Diamond Bank, Bank of Muscat, ACOG, and Abu Dhabi Commercial Bank. He was also associated for setting up money transfer company at Dubai and was on the advisory board for setting up the Islamic Bank in East Africa. He has conducted relevant trainings at banks, PO, ICAI, and others. Today, we are lucky to have you with us, and thank you so much. As we all know, dollar is the main currency in which most of the settlement is made and well accepted throughout the world. In fact, the most currencies are pegged to the dollar. In the current circumstances, there has been economic sanctions on most countries, countries mostly by the West. And to promote the growth of global trade in this current scenario, with emphasis on exports from India, to support the increasing interest of global trading community, in INR, the central bank has put forward an additional arrangement for invoicing, payment, and settlement of exports, imports in Indian rupee. We would like to hear from Mr. Gupta about this RBI circular, its impact, and how he sees the trading happening going forward. So over to you, Mr. Gupta.
Thank you, Mr. Mukherjee, for the nice and humble introduction about me. So I also thank on my behalf for inviting me to speak to you and your members, right? And I'm sure they will all be benefited through our deliberations today. And in fact, I will be more happy to have your questions at the end of the webinar. So each one of you can ask as many as questions, even not relevant to this, relating to all kinds of settlement. I'll flip to you. So this is, the PPTs what we have prepared on behalf of FinRex. But before that, I would like to tell you something, what is most relevant from the point of view of the settlement is. And like what, Mr. Dada Mukherjee has mentioned about the RBI circular, I'll let you know what it says and what we are talking. Then OPEC countries, like sanctioned countries like Belarus, Burma, Iran, Iraq, Liberia, North Korea, Sudan, Syria. And this will give you an opportunity to have more free trade agreements with many more countries in the days to come. So it's a very positive sign. The only fear is right now when it will start implementing and you all people can make the benefit of it. That's the only issue. Second, the other benefit like rupee is in a very volatile mood. Just to tell you, all of you, very interesting part is when I started my career in the year 1978, this was 7 rupees 50 paisa dollar. And today it is almost 80 rupees has crossed today. So you can imagine, every time when I talk here, my wife gets angry, why you talk about 1978 when dollar was 7 rupees 50 paisa. Why don't you talk what's happening today? You know the journey of the rupee from 750 to 80 rupees. So a little bit we can ask in the, whatever questions you'll ask in the later. See, look at this. If you're in Dubai, Qatar, Riyadh, Saudi and all, there is no change. I've been tracking this Dubai dirham for last 40 years. $1 equivalent to 3.6725. Qatar people I have been interacting and their Qatar real is also 3.64. There is no change. Traditionally, if you look at this, the erstwhile USSR and the Russia, whatever we call, we had a very strong relationship with them, and we have been trading mainly in the local currency. Then we had something like ACU, and then some changes in the ACU that also I will let you know, everyone, for the benefit of each one of you. But before I proceed, let me just tell you something, here, which is very important for all of you to understand that what is the issue here. See, for any government that matter, there is something like Ministry of Commerce, Ministry of Finance. This is the same thing in our India. Near the DGFT, which talks about foreign trade policy. So they only talk about so they only talk. But when you are allowed to export or import the goods, the next question comes regarding settlement. The settlement is designed by Reserve Bank of India's FEMA, Foreign Exchange Management Act, which says that, you need to have an account with any of the bank which is authorized to deal in foreign exchange. Let me tell you, there are about 94 banks in India. Please make a note of it. It's a very interesting point for all of you. There are 94 banks in India, those have been authorized to deal in foreign exchange, which includes all state bank, PSU banks, private sector banks, foreign banks, and few cooperative banks. Now, what is the idea? This is a very important point when I'm going to discuss further on this, that you can deal all these transactions through any of the 94 banks, provided they do some basic thing. However, the present settlement for trade with Iran, we are restricted to only UCO or IDBI banks. So there is a restriction there that one or two banks only are banks, including one Russian bank, Sberbank, which is there having a branch in Delhi. So this is a very positive point for all of you. So we have to understand what the RBI says about the FEMA liberalization in respect of this settlement of trade with, especially for Russia. This is basically meant for Russia. Now, there is two more agencies which are working on it. One is the FEDI, Foreign Exchange Dealers Association of India, is an association of all the 94 banks, plus Indian Bank Association. So this, I will tell you what is the issue basically they are facing in terms of implementation of this circular. All these points I will let you. Next point is, now look at this settlement first. Ordinary settlement, what happens? In normal case, let's take that you are exporting, you are from India, Kolkata here, and you have a buyer in Dubai. And you make the agreement in dollars. Like Mr. Dada said, 85% of the international trade is settled in American dollar, maximum. So there is a history behind this. What has happened post Second World War? Why people switched from gold to dollar? Why this dollar has become, the global currency or a reserve currency? The emergence of dollarization or the globalization, that's very important, which is come up. So what is happening here? Now, suppose you have a buyer in Dubai. So you have a currency rupees. They have the currency of dirham, but you invoice in dollar. No problem. This is all permitted under FEMA. So this is what I mentioned to you. FEMA says you as an exporter and importer can draw in any currency of your choice. You can draw in the currency of the buyer or the seller or the third currency. No issues at all. That's very important thing you have to understand. So the relevance of FEMA when I'm talking. Then what happens? How do you get the money? Let's take that. You have made an agreement with the buyer in Dubai for a goods worth to be exported worth $100,000. What it says as $100,000, 50% advance and 50% on presentation of document. No issues. If he agrees to send $50,000, he will approach his bank in Dubai. Let's take Emirates Commercial Bank. They approach them and say they pay $50,000 to the seller in India. No issues. So what will happen? Suppose seller in India has an account with ICICI Bank. No problem. Now they will send this money by sending the SWIFT instructions to their correspondent bank wherever they have a dollar account, or it is called a Nostro account. Now they will send a SWIFT message to debit the Nostro account. Okay, like let's take that Citibank, New York, where they have an account. So they will ask them to debit their current account, Nostro account or dollar account, whatever you call, and pay to the correspondent bank of ICICI Bank in US. Let's take JP Morgan. So the money goes from Citi New York to JP Morgan. Please make a note of it. Very important it is. The money moves from Citi New York to JP Morgan New York. And then JP Morgan New York sends what? they never send the rupee. They only send a SWIFT message. And based on the SWIFT message, they will ask you, oh, what do you want? You want to keep this into EFC account or you want to convert into rupees? The discretion and the choice is yours. Then what happens? Then you tell him, fine, you want an EFC account? No issues. You can keep it in the EFC account. Then you have to follow the instructions of FEMA, which says you can use this advance remittance for a maximum period of 1 year and all. And then after you export the goods, you present the documents. Again, the document goes for the remaining $50,000. It is presented, payment comes through the same mechanism. And then when $50,000 comes, again, he will ask you the option. Can I convert or you want me to keep it in the EFC account? Choice is. Now see the concept, it is a nostro account. But if it is drawn in rupees, then what happens? The money will come in rupees. So Emirates Bank can have a rupee account with the ICICI Bank, or JP Morgan can have an INR account with the ICICI Bank. What they can do? They can ask them to debit this account and pay to you. Now the account maintained by Emirates Bank or JP Morgan with ICICI Bank in INR, it is called Vostro account in the books of ICICI Bank. So Nostro means our account with them in their country, in their currency. Vostro means their account with us in our country, in our currency. That's the basic point. Now, so Nostro is dealing with any currency. Vostro is dealing only with the Indian rupee in India. Now, another point very important. How will they get the rupees? They have to give the dollars or any foreign currency to buy the rupees. So imagine here, this Vostro account is working through selling foreign currency here and buying dollars or buying rupees from it. Now, this mechanism of Vostro account works through selling and buying of the foreign currency and the local currency. Now, this is the way it works. Now, coming to the next point. Okay. Now, what the new arrangement says, let me explain you that. Then that would be the clear part of understanding the subject. So now you understood Nostro, Vostro. Okay. Then I'll tell you about ACU also. See, ACU was extended for 8 countries in the world. 8 countries. It initially started with 6 countries like India, Bangladesh, Pakistan, Nepal, Myanmar, right? Right now. And there's something called Iran, Bangladesh, Pakistan, all. It was started. The idea of ACU was that to avoid dependence on hard currency, that is dollar, and settle among all the countries in the local currency with the help of central bank. It used to happen very smooth, very nice. But it so happened that Ayatollah came into picture, Ayatollah Khomeini, and he started talking about Islamicization and all these things. And then the process of settlement, which used to be once in fortnight, it got extended for a period of 3 months, 6 months, and people got frustrated. They said, no, it is not possible. Then all the central banks agreed to settle in dollar, which was known as same dollar, but you have to use the word ACU. Dollar is same. The idea is what? That, okay, you will understand that this payment is coming or going to the ACU. That's all. Then what happened? There was a problem of sanction against Iran. Okay, by US. Then what happened? They moved to Europe. Then later on, went through Japanese yen. Now see here, right now, then Sri Lanka has a problem today. If you see, they have no money. Okay. Now what RBI has said, you can accept money from any country in any currency. So earlier it was restricted to those 8 countries. Now, if you are doing trade with Sri Lanka, you are allowed to do with any currency, any way. But my suggestion, those are exporting to Sri Lanka or propose to export to Sri Lanka, please do it on 100% advance basis. So I've seen some of my clients, they are getting the money either from Singapore or from China or from Canada or from Dubai. So you take 100% advance, let me tell you, and then only export the goods to ACU. If you don't do that, you may be stuck for at least 3-4 years, let me tell you. Okay. So this is the danger. Now coming to this special Vostro account, which has been permitted and how it is used, that's very important. Now you see what is happening. There is a trade. Basically what we are doing, we are importing oil, okay? And other things, 6 months, before 6 months when it started, Yeah. Dada Chakravarti, can you please mute yourself? Chakravarti Dada, Jivan. Dada. जरा म्यूट कर दो दादा. Can you please? Then I'll have to.
Mr. Chakravarti, you want to say something?
No, I don't like to say because I don't have the expertise in the matter.
Okay. No, Mr. Gupta is requesting us all to mute in the meantime.
No, because this is a subject completely Hebrew to me. So I am hearing very patiently so that I can better understand the issues that under discussion right now. He has been giving a very lucid account of the whole details. So it's basically a learning process for me. I am learning a lot from his discussion. I very much appreciate and I am grateful that he has been kind enough to offer this opportunity. Thank you very much. Please convey it to Mr. Gupta.
Let's continue, Dada. Let's see what. Okay, thank you very much, Dada. Okay, now we are coming to the main topic of the day, that how the settlement takes place, what is being proposed by the Reserve Bank of India for trade with Russia. Let me just tell you what is right now being practiced by some banks. Some banks are still doing some payments here there, but then their payment is getting stuck in US or some other countries. So first, my suggestion is, let's stop that, okay, all of you. So number one. Number two, the branch of Sberbank, SBER Bank. This is the Russian bank in Delhi. Okay, they can do very well. Very well they can do it, but they are. What is the issue with them? That I also will explain. But first, let's try to understand how this deal and the thing which has been proposed by Reserve Bank of India through special INR roster account, I'm explaining. So let's take, there is a Russian bank, okay, and they want to become the intermediary between for the settlement of all these currencies. So what RBI has proposed? Let this Russian bank open a current account in Indian rupees. So what will happen? Now, the best part is this bank can open account with any 94 banks. This is the most positive part, which is not there in the case of Iran. Okay, Iran, that UCO bank and all. So there are only 2 banks are involved, but here 94 banks. So here the Russian banks have an option with all the 94 banks to open this account, INR account. So what is next to be done? Now suppose there is a Russian importer, there is a Russian exporter who is exporting oil, and we have an Indian importer like IOC, ONGC. There are so many Indian companies, directly, indirectly, Reliance, they are importing oil. So what happens when the oil comes? Then how to pay? Because of sanction, you are not able to pay. What it says, this oil company will pay to this roster account. Let's take that they have purchased oil worth 100 crore rupees. They will give an RTGS. Please make a note of it, RTGS, and transfer the money from their bank to this account, okay, wherever it is. Now, what happened next? Now, they have a balance of 100 crores. Now, suppose there is a company in Russia who imports the goods from Indian exporter like all of you. Let's take that Jivan Chakravarti. He is an exporter. He has exported goods worth 5 crore rupees to a Russian buyer. So then what happened? This Russian bank will instruct the Indian bank wherever they have a postal account to debit their account with 5 crore rupees and pay to Dada Chakravarti, Indian exporter. That's it. How beautiful it is. And now, how it is different from that UCO bank and all, that I'm going to explain. It's a fantastic, let me tell you. It is much better than the deal what is being offered to the UCO bank. Now you see the best part of it. The money remains here in the current account. All the surpluses after paying for the import and receiving for the export. Now what happened? What do you do with the money? In the case of Iran UCO bank, the money remains in the current account. But that is not the case with India here. Here in this, they can always place the money in the government securities or anywhere. I can show you, the yield they can get. Look at this here. Look at the yield. They can get 7.25, 7.40. I hope you are able to see 10-year paper. Okay. They can invest in any government securities, treasury bills and all, and they can earn money out of it. That's the best part. Okay. So this is the best part is that they can get more than 7%, or they can put in CDs, CPs, there the return may be more than 8%. So imagine that if you have the money, the Russian bank has a money lying in the current account with any of the bank, that money can be invested into government securities or treasury bills or CPCD or any other instrument which is permitted under FEMA. And they get 7 to 8% return. Like what has happened in the last 6 months, the rupee is depreciated around 7%, right? So even if the rupee depreciate, they don't make any loss. Okay, so that is a plus advantage. Second, the most advantage part is, so the money is invested, and even if there is a loss of depreciation, there is no impact at all on the Russian bank. Second part, so this is the advantage situation. I think somebody has asked question. Okay, fine. So this is the most thing. Second part, what it says, when you are converting these rupees, 100 crore rupees, and you have made some currency, no issues. You can do it at the current rate of today's. So today's current rate, whatever is there, you can make use of it, and you can, suppose you have done the invoicing in dollar. Let's take like this. If you are done in rupees, no issues. If you are done in dollars, no problem. Today's current rate, you apply and give the money equivalent to the bank here. Kalas. And second part, you don't have any exchange exposure, right? If you are drawing in Indian rupees, there is no exchange exposure because Indian rupees remains rupees. So this is the best part of it, what I have told you about the settlement. So now, so you can do the invoicing in any currency, exchange rate I have told you, settlement process I have told you, right? And it is good for the importer, good for the exporters in India. Now, what else I can show you? Is there anybody want to ask question, or shall I continue? Dada? Mukherjee Dada?
You continue, and then during the interaction, we will have questions to the participants.
Okay, fine, Dada. No issue. Now, what it says further, RBI says, like, okay, so I've kept that RBI circular also open here. So this I told you, the invoicing, the settlement, documentation. No problem, any documentation, letter of credit, UCPDC. See what has happened. Because once there is sanction, UCP will not come into picture. Now look at this Libya, Syria, for so like I am interacting with some bank in Syria or Lebanon and all these countries. So they have formed their own way to deal with this situation. Or they get their LC confirmed by a bank in Frankfurt. Or they are using all their own formats in terms of LCs, and RBI says, fine, I have no issues if you are making your own mechanism for the documentation, LC and all. And then other issues regarding advance payment and all, no problem. You continue to do the same thing, right? You can have the advance payment. There is no problem. Okay. You can, but there is an issue with the advance payment. Let me tell you. You can do setting of export receivables. You can go for bank guarantees. Advance, there is small issue. Let's take like, David Mukherjee has got an arrangement with the exporter to pay the advance, and he gets say about 10 crore rupees. No, Dada Chakravarti comes into picture, and the 10 crores Dada Mukherjee has taken it. Then Dada Chakravarti comes into picture. He says he is raising the invoice on the same supplier, but there is no balance in the account. So when there is no balance in the account, then it's a problem. You got this point? So the issue is here is that advance payment may be in the interest of the Indian exporter and India, but it may be against the interest of our own Indian exporters in India. But then this is the business. Okay, so we can't blame anyone, but this is the way. But options are available. Okay. Surplus balances, I told you, it can be invested, right? So they want to basically, the issue is like they also want to reduce the dependency on the dollar, trade with sanctioned countries, then reduce conversion expenses, reduce the risk of foreign exchange. Long term, it will benefit because we are still talking with so many countries for free trade agreements. And once this happens, free trade agreements and all, right? So then we can negotiate with so many countries for trade in rupees, and then surely rupee might become fully convertible. Okay, that also possibilities are there. Okay, because India turns trade deficit. As I told you, when we started thinking for the settlement with Russia, the trade deficit was $3 billion. But today the trade deficit has gone to $6 billion. But then some of your question may be saying, why, what happened? What are the risks in this? So that I'm going to tell. But what are the more issues which need to be clarified? Like, for example, payment of incentives. This is a major issue with the exporters in India. You see, the mindset, you're not making any effort to earn foreign exchange for the country. It's old mindset, let me tell you. Okay, the old mindset is that you are getting rupees, so you are not earning any foreign exchange. So when you are not earning any foreign exchange, you should not get any incentives. It's ridiculous, See, indirectly you must say that you are saving the foreign exchange for the country by drawing in rupees and getting in rupees. Number two, if it is Vostro account, the bank has to pay by buying the rupees against dollar. So there is a question of that. So there is a confusion on that part. Number two, the settlement of claims. What happens if there is a claim by the buyer or the seller, allowing the discount, the commission, third-party payments? ECGC covers is a very big problem because nobody is giving any marine insurance cover even. The credit insurance cover will be a problem. Then who is going to release the documents, the shipping bill under EDPMS and bill of entry in case of IDPMS? Which bank? Like in the case of Iran, it is the bank themselves do it, the exporters bank or importers bank, they do this issue of releasing from the EDPMS and IDPMS. So this circular is silent on that, okay? Then the exporters are worried that, we are not able to earn the foreign exchange. We are not able to get more money in case of rupee depreciation. And we are not able to get the benefit of EFC account, exchange earners foreign currency account, because which they can use it for traveling abroad, for, for importing the goods and all. So they have an issue that they are not able to make use of EFC account in this. Then financing to the exporters. So again, that point is not clear. So what will be the rule followed by the banks for financing to the exporters, importers under this arrangement, right? Now, this is the last point, is very important. What happens if the US and allies put sanction on India for making this arrangement as violation of sanction? See, let me tell you, and then issues what is coming up, the problem which is being created, in this. Like, for example, many MNCs like Hindustan Unilever, Colgate, Coca-Cola, Pepsi, they don't want to trade with Russia, because they are afraid that, because they are operating in all 150, 200 countries. So they don't want to take risk with US or Europe or any other country, Britain, about the sanction issue. So they don't want to say that, fine, we'll do this business. No, they say we'll not do this business with Russia at all, because it's a matter of headquarters. So their head office says not to do business means we'll not do any business. So Indian, the MNCs working in India is ruled out. Then who are the other companies is getting problem? The Sberbank, the Russian bank, they are always susceptible. These Russian banks are not very transparent in terms of working, or the communication is poor. They are not able to take a call despite all this. They already must be having Vostro account. They just need to approach RBI and take permission and open the account. See, what is required is the Indian bank who wants to do this business with the Russian bank, they need to approach the Reserve Bank of India, take the permission, and RBI will allow them to do and settle it. So Sberbank is not at all interested. Imagine when they are not able to do it, how other Indian banks will do. Other Indian banks, they have conveyed to Reserve Bank of India that if we get into this and US put a, holds on our assets, the assets held by the bank in US by way of nostro account, by way of investments and all, there is a possibility that US may block the money, assets, and they may confiscate that money. So this is what they have done with all Libya, Iran, Iraq, and other countries. So US is, they are habitual of doing all these kinds of things. So the Indian banks are worried, and they want an assurance from RBI that in case the US sets in US, then the RBI will, give a guarantee and give the money back to the bank. So this is the issue which is coming up in the picture. That is what is taking time. And for that, Reserve Bank of India is nominated IBA and FedI. They are working together on finding out the modalities that how these Indian banks can be used for this purpose. Now, number 3, I tell you, what is going to happen? Either they have to find out some bank who may not have much of the assets, like banks, like Dhanlakshmi Bank and all, chota bank, they may not have much of the assets in US. Even some banks may not have no stock account also. Or they have to just nominate UCO Bank again for doing these transactions also, like the way they are doing for Iran. So this point is to be seen. Like as I told you, then this may lead to various free trade agreements, right? Okay. So, okay. Now this may lead to further more, and then you will get little more clarity about it. And it's very interesting if I tell you, the more countries which are likely to come up is like Turkey, Sri Lanka, Nepal, Bhutan, they're all getting into problem. Okay. So, but the only worried is that what happens if US put a sanction to all these companies, all these countries? That is a major issue. Second problem, what is coming up today's time is the merchanting trade settlement. See, there are lots of demand for the import of goods or export of goods to Russia or via China. Then what happened? So if you import the goods from China and then export to Russia, it's a problem because China you will have to pay foreign currency, and then you export, you are getting the rupees. Then this will increase a lot of pressure on the trade deficit. Okay. So, what I'm sure some of you would be already doing this MTT business, merchanting trade business. And this is a major issue between the banks and the parties and the exporters and importers. This is just few issues I have highlighted. Yeah. So now I think I'm done with these issues. Now I would like to answer your issues and your questions. So please, you are all free to ask me the questions. Okay. Yes. Yeah. Dada.
So thank you so much, Mr. Gupta. So the house is now open for the participants to raise any queries, any questions to Mr. Gupta, please. I invite and request the participants to feel free to ask questions.
Yeah, even any unrelated question about this also can be asked.
Yeah, anything related to
our business.
Forex and foreign trade. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
I think we have Anita Anil Kumar.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Good evening, Mr. Gupta. Thank you very much for this very clear presentation. It has helped clear a lot of initial doubts. But I just wanted to know something. Will this settlement in rupee be extended to countries in Europe and all that, or is it a choice of the importer and exporter, or they are bankers?
Mr. Gupta.
You have mentioned
it's like this. I tell you something. Are you an exporter or an importer?
Largely an exporter.
Okay. So Anita, this as per FEMA, there is no restriction about you are making the invoice in which currency. You can make the invoices in any currency of your choice, which I told you in the beginning. Okay.
Yes.
So if you are an exporter or importer, even if you draw in dollar or euro or sterling or rupees, there is no problem at all. Now, problem is when this arrangement is basically, there's no explicit, the RBI has not put explicitly, it is only for Russia. But it's understood that it is for countries like Russia, where you cannot pay or receive in convertible currency. So convertible currency, I told you, like rupees. Rupee can be converted from a rupee to foreign currency and foreign currency to Indian rupee. Now, here in this case, what we are doing is, it is indirectly a sort of barter, whereby we are importing the oil and keeping that money. So transferring it is not possible. So transferring is possible only when you buy the foreign currency. Until the time they have been given the option to invest in something. Now, coming to your question is, will that be extended to some other countries? Possible. What are those countries? They become due for this in these countries. Look at this: Belarus, Burma, Cuba, Congo, Iran, Iraq, Liberia, North Korea, Sudan, Syria, Zimbabwe. So if you are dealing with these countries, there is a big problem right now. Even with the Iran, big problem. Okay. So then for them, it will become an easy thing. But if you are doing with the Europe, Britain, you continue with this existing rupee arrangement. It makes no difference for you. Is this fine?
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, okay. Any other question, please?
Any other questions? Anybody else? Rahul, Mr. Rahul is there.
Achha.
Rahul, you can ask question. Yeah, Mr. Rahul. You can introduce also and then ask your question. We can't hear you, Rahul. Rahul, we cannot hear you. Yeah, go ahead. I think there is some audio issue at your end, Mr. Rahul. So anyone else in the meantime can chip in, and then you can come back with your questions. Mr. Khemka, Mr. Abhishek Khemka.
Yeah, myself Abhishek. Yeah, I just want to have one clarification that whether these INR trade agreement is applicable to OFAC countries only at the moment.
So at the moment, it is only with Russia. Let me tell you. Okay, they are proposing to have with only Russia, basically. Okay, this is basic arrangement they have basically made for that purpose. They have not written anywhere. Okay, but it is to circumvent the sanctions, basically, because they want to circumvent, they want to avoid this sanction issue, and they have designed like this. And because they are our friends, like, since USSR days, Russia and all, they are our very friendly neighbor country, almost, right? So obviously, this is the way the RBI has proposed so that we can continue to have the trade with them. Abhishek sir, the issue is what, the issue is, major issue is that today, America is not able to understand this, okay? But if they understand that we are doing this for the purposely, then there could be a serious issue. Number two, but then you may say, like, see what is happening to European countries. They are sending the gas via pipe, and they are doing so many things. So why they are not taking any action against them? And they themselves are a part of sanction. Okay. So what is a sort of exemption? Because, or some sort of relaxation, or some sort of no action against India, because the countries who has put a sanction, they themselves are violating the sanctions by importing the oil or gas from the Russia. So they are not able to take any action against us, right? But how much? That is the point. Like, for example, if you look at the Iran, the arrangement is pure barter, that we are importing oil and we are supplying them tea, coffee, or medicines, or some wheat and where they are, whatever XYZ. It's only purely on humanitarian grounds. But this is under the knowledge of US and sanctioned countries. But here, this is without their knowledge and without their sanctions. So what will be the serious repercussions later? And that's the reason 94 banks are there. No bank is coming forward to start this. And I tell you, once it happens, then the trade will go up like anything. Okay, then you should be ready to move into this. Yeah. Next, please.
Mr. Khemka, Mr. Gupta, one Mr. Srinivas Prasad is asking a question in the chat box. He's asking that any new countries who have agreed to join INR trade in the last few weeks?
Sir, no. Mr. Prasad, sir, not yet, to my knowledge. But they, everybody is watching and waiting and watching, because once this is through, I tell you, the next in the pipeline is the Iran, then Iraq, then Syria, then Myanmar. Okay. And so many countries, those are in problem. Slowly, slowly, they will get into this.
Okay.
And
so
it's very easy with the Syria, very easy with Lebanon, very easy with Iran, Iraq, like that.
okay, so Mr. Manish has a question. Mr. Manish, go ahead.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Sir, we are also exporting to Sri Lanka. So, how do you see the prospects of this mechanism coming?
So I told you, Sri Lanka, they have already, no, you look at this here. I'm showing you the RBI circular. Can you see here RBI circular ACU?
Yeah, we
Are
can
you
see.
able to see?
Reality with Sri Lanka.
Okay. 8 July. Okay. What they have said, all eligible current account transactions, including trade with Sri Lanka, may be settled in any permitted currency outside ACU mechanism until further notice.
Right, sir.
So what is this? So earlier you have to settle through ACU, either in rupees or in dollar or in the currency of the country. But now you can do in any currency. Now Sri Lanka, because they have no money to pay you. And if at all they have, how will they pay? The problem is this, because there is no settlement arrangement is open. So now I have seen these guys are getting the money from Canada, from Dubai, from Sri Lanka, from Singapore, from China. Maybe their relatives or their business associates, they are remitting the money. And then people are exporting from here. See, what was happening, they were able to export the rice and they were able to export grains and all, wheat and all. But the government has banned all the wheat and the wheat flour and everything has been banned recently, It is subject to IMC permission and all. But future is very good, let me tell you. No, unfortunately, the problem is into problem. Bhutan is also getting into problem. Nepal, Myanmar, Pakistan, Afghanistan, they are all into little problem, right? It is affecting our business too. Okay. But at the end of the day,
Yes.
We have two factors. Please make a note of all of you. One positive point is 135 crore people here. And second positive point is TINA factor. TINA means there is no alternative. All the American companies, those are operating in China, they want to move from China to India. Why? Because they are not sure about the Chinese policies. Okay. One day they say something, next day they say something else. So they're afraid. And secondly, people are not, very happy with the Chinese product also. Okay. So now they're all looking to come to India. They're all are looking to come to India. So because there is already ready-made market and the government is encouraging them through PLI scheme, this scheme, that scheme. It's a fantastic opportunity for all of you. All of you are doing business. And my request to you is, little risk you take and go ahead. Okay.
Right.
Next.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, no problem. Awesome.
So any other questions from any other participants, please? Please feel free to ask. Take this opportunity and clarify all your doubts and questions that you have.
So, Sandeep sir, what you have written is right. Okay, Mr. Kejriwal, he has written that you create a new bank. You see, in India now creating a universal bank, who will be doing everything. You need a capital of about 1,000 crores. It's a very big deal. So my suggestion will be, instead of creating a new bank, try to find out a bank like Dhanalakshmi Bank. They are small banks, or Khatri Syrian Bank or something. Any small bank with a lesser of valuation and I remember the Dhanalakshmi Bank was not allowed to open even Nostro account. Okay, so if a bank is not allowed to open a Nostro account, so he has nothing to lose. So what you say, I agree with you. So you can this RBI, I'm sure RBI and IBA and FEDI will be definitely working on this formula, whereby they will find out somebody and they will start this. See, it's a matter of time. Okay, it is. I generally give, when everybody comes and complains me, how is the life? I said life is like Twin Towers. In 9 seconds, either you go up or you go down. That's it.
Thank you.
So no problem.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So any other questions from the participants, please?
See, each one of you, those have got a regular problem with the banking and all, you can also ask that. Not an issue at all.
These proposals are right now only as a proposal. It has not been implemented, I believe.
No, I told you the implementation reason is the issue with the banks. Because nobody wants to take the risk of US. I tell you, okay, let me just explain you one practical experience. Okay, I used to work in Afghanistan for about 6 months, and from there I went to China. And when I was in China, you know what happened? I met one guy's people in Punjab National Bank, people in Shanghai. It so happened the bank where I was associated with in Kabul, that bank branch was originally of that of Punjab National Bank in Kabul. And they were doing business with Iran those days from Kabul. See, sometimes what happened when you are working in such countries also, then you don't care about it. Okay. And they have been doing some business with Iran despite sanctions. And it so happened after 15, 20 years, suddenly the American people have come to know about this business, and the shipping company which was used was owned by the Iranian, and so many things they came up. And they issued a notice to Punjab National Bank. You give us the details. This is, we have closed this branch. We have no details. Okay. So we have to give this. So people are worried from that angle. See, you may not realize it now. So it is like getting an income tax notice after 5 years, 10 years, and then you suddenly wake up and try to, calibrate all the details and the entries, and it will be difficult for you to recall all those things. So exactly that fear is in the mind. You see, I tell you something more for all of you. Okay. Let's take Mr. Kejriwal is already doing some business. Mr. Sandeep Saab. So you are,
Yes, sir.
Sharing the name with one very important word personality. So, so I'm using the word Mr. Sandeep. So Sandeep sir, let's take that you are doing a business with the US right now. Okay. Now you get an opportunity to export to Russia. You will be afraid to do this. Let me tell you. Anything on your US business. And if tomorrow the US companies and the US come to know that you are doing business with Russia also, and they stop this and they put you in a blacklist, then you are in a very big problem.
Correct.
So this is another fear. So it's the fear among the exporters also. Importers also. Ore Baba, we are already doing a lot of business with Britain. We are doing with London, with European Central Bank and all European countries. So why should we get into this, right? So it becomes like a penny wise and pound foolish. Okay, so I tell you, joke happened like Boris Johnson came to Ahmedabad recently, and he was given Gomutra by saying that it is a scotch. so that was just a joke. So this happens sometime you get into. But I tell you, once then people in India, we know how to circumvent, and we find out some ways and doing the businesses through different names and like. And the best person to know is the lots of business people, without my naming,
Correct.
how they are doing the business.
Correct.
Yeah. Any more questions, please?
Sir, I would just like to ask if a Russian bank can't open a branch in India, and to the extent of the trade deficit, which are equal, like we are exporting $6 billion and we are importing $10 billion. So to the extent of $6 billion deals can be executed without having any problem.
See, Mr. Sandeep sir, I told you that trade deficit when we started this, it was 3 billion. We import was 6 billion, exports were 3 billion. And in today's time, the imports for us is about 7 billion and export is only 1 billion. So total trade deficit is $6 billion with Russia right now. Okay. No problem is what? So what you are saying, can't this Russian bank open a branch in India? Yes, it's already there in Delhi. I told you. No? The name of the bank is Sberbank, SBER.
Okay.
You can check SBER Bank. Sberbank is a bank branch in Delhi. This is a bank from Russia already in India, almost 7-8 years. So they are established. They know. I don't know. I'm surprised you are not aware. I get every day some inquiry where Sberbank has said that we'll pay you. But they cannot pay you. Arey Baba, I told them, why don't you open the account? They said, we can't do that. I said, why you cannot do that? They have no reply. Okay. So they already have a branch in Delhi and they can very well do it. And they are the right candidate for doing this.
Absolutely.
They're the right candidate. But they are still not doing anything. If you want, I can show you the name of the bank, Sberbank. See, if you go to FedI, then you go to the member banks. And if you happen to go to the member banks here, in the foreign banks, okay? Go to foreign banks. You can see here, the name of the bank will be there. Can you see here this Sberbank?
Yeah, I can see that.
That's it. These are all 80 banks, 94 banks, which I said, 4 types of banks, total 94 banks. You see here?
पॉइंट ये है कि अगर हम लोग एक्सपोर्ट कर ही नहीं सकते हैं तो ये ट्रेड डेफिसिट सुधरेगा कैसे? हम लोग तो एक्सपोर्ट कर ही नहीं पा रहे।
सर वो एक संदीप साहब वो एक इशू बहुत ही सेंसिटिव इशू है। देखिए मैं आपको उसके लिए एक ही बोल सकता हूँ कि सबसे बड़ी मिस्टेक कैसी है। देखिए अगर आपको नोटिस किया हो तो देखिए मैंने आपको शुरू में एक पहला स्लाइड दिखाया था, ये वाला। अगर आपको वापस से दिखा देता हूँ, कैन यू सी फॉरेन ट्रेड पॉलिसी? लास्ट कभी आया था सर? 2015-20। तो देखो 2.5 ईयर से हमारी पास फॉरेन ट्रेड पॉलिसी नहीं इशू किया गवर्नमेंट ने। तो अब आप बताइए, आपको यही नहीं पता कि आप क्या एक्सपोर्ट कर सकते हैं, क्या इंपोर्ट कर सकते हैं, क्या आपका विजन है, क्या आपका व्यू है, क्या आपका ट्रेड एग्रीमेंट है, तो आप क्या करेंगे?
Very surprising.
No, but Mr. Gupta, I had a several round of discussion with DGFT officials, just at a very personal level. The thinking is that so many announcements have been made by the government in the interim. I mean, the policymakers for the FTP are really thinking on what to include something new in the policy.
कुछ है ही नहीं ना, नया कुछ है नहीं ना।
No, but because the policy dynamics have been so dynamic, correct, in the last 2-3 years, every other day there is an announcement, FTP signed and all.
Yes.
So really speaking, the policy is a kind of a dynamic policy in the making, so to say. So that is the feeling in the DGFT.
No, I just mentioned, it is nothing to criticize anything. Okay, it is basically. You see the new exporters, especially, the new people, they find little different. Number 2, अच्छा चलो कोई बात नहीं, there is no issue. See, अगर आप एक नया पॉलिसी लाते हैं, आपको कट पेस्ट करके छापना है ना, खाली डेट तो डालनी है। अगर आपको कुछ नहीं करना है। देखिए, I'm nothing against any policy of that. Number 3, अब you are signing FTAs with so many. You are trying very hard, but everybody is trying their hard to save their country, right? तो अभी FTA भी नहीं हो रहा है, तो अभी ये एक मैंने जस्ट एन एग्जांपल दिया। अच्छा, दूसरी बात देखिए, मैं आपको और बताता हूँ, सबसे इंटरेस्टिंग। अभी संदीप साहब ने मेरी नस के ऊपर हाथ रख दिया है, दुखती रख। देखिए अभी आप ये देखिए, हमारे जो 4 महीने का ट्रेड डिफिसिट है $100 बिलियन है। ये ऑफिशियल डाटा है, मेरा पर्सनल नहीं। तो इसका मतलब 1 साल में कितना हो जाएगा? $300 बिलियन। अब ये पैसा कहां से आएगा बताइए?
ह्यूज।
देखिए, अच्छा मैं वो भी दिखा देता हूँ कहां से आएगा। तो फिर क्या होता है, पैसे कैसा होता है? $300 बिलियन ट्रेड डिफिसिट है, करीबन $80 बिलियन NRI है, वो कहां से आएगा? तो अब देखिए उसकी एग्जांपल कैसी है। अगर समझो हमारे घर में डिफिसिट होगा तो हम लोग कहां से लाएंगे पैसा? आर यू अंडरस्टैंडिंग दिस पॉइंट?
यस यस।
तो हम एग्जैक्टली क्या कर रहे हैं? अब देखो 1991 में हम लोग का रिजर्व कितना था मालूम है आपको? सिर्फ $1 बिलियन। आज $564 बिलियन।
ओके,
इट वाज 1 बिलियन, नाउ इट इज 564। In fact, if you ask 3-4 months back, it was 640. So almost $80 billion is gone in 3-4 months. तो अभी क्या हो गया? अभी तक हम लोग को पैसा क्यों आ रहा था? इक्विटी मार्केट अच्छा चल रहा था। इक्विटी मार्केट क्यों अच्छा चल रहा था? वो उसके पीछे भी रीजन समझ लीजिए। हाँ, तो आपको क्लैरिटी आ जाएगी। ये देखिए, आपको हम इंटरेस्ट रेट सिखाते हैं। इंटरेस्ट रेट कैसे है देखिए, 1 ईयर 3.84, हाँ लाइबर रेट्स आई एम शोइंग यू। यूरो का सब माइनस है, जीबीपी का भी इतना ही बढ़ गया है, जेपीवाई भी माइनस है। ये सब 0% था अभी तक। कब से? सिंस 2008।
अच्छा,
तो अब ये लोग को क्या आदत पड़ी हुई थी, जो ब्रोकर हैं, इन्वेस्टर नहीं, ये सब ब्रोकर हैं इक्विटी मार्केट में, ये लोग वहां से पैसा लेके इन्वेस्ट कर रहे थे इक्विटी मार्केट में। वहां के जो फॉरेनर्स है, लोकल्स है, सब लोग, बैंक्स है, और वो लोग इन्वेस्ट कर रहे थे और वो लोग मजा कर रहे थे। हम लोग को सजा है क्योंकि वो पैसा वहां से आ रहा था, उससे रुपया अप्रिशिएट हो रहा था। इनफैक्ट यू पीपल हैव लॉस्ट हेवीली because RBI has been buying the dollars at 72, 73, 74, and today they are selling at 80 rupees. Today they are selling at 80 rupees. So who is losing? You people are losing because of the practices by Reserve Bank of India. तो ये आपको समझना है।
तो सर ये जो $80 बिलियन का अभी रिजर्व कम हुआ है, ये जो $80 बिलियन रिजर्व कम हुआ है, इसके कारण में रुपये डिप्रिशिएट कर रहा है क्या? एक कारण ये भी है क्या?
हाँ, यस यस। देखो मैं कैसा होता है, देखो अगर आपको फ्री में पैसा मिले तो कौन नहीं लगाएगा मार्केट में? वहां तो रिटर्न कितनी होगी? देखो अभी इंडेक्स कितना है, 58,000। 2 साल पहले इंडेक्स कितना था? 26,000। डबल हो गया है यार। आप बताओ 100% रिटर्न कौन देता है? कौन सी कंट्री में रिटर्न आती है इतनी? ये सिर्फ इंडिया में आती है। मैंने आपको बताया ना, टीना फैक्टर। देयर इज नो अदर कंट्री आई एम टेलिंग इन द वर्ल्ड व्हिच इज देयर इन इंडिया। आपको ये बता दें। तो इसके लिए तो मैं एक छोटा सा गाना गाता था सबके लिए। वो एक जैकलिन फर्नांडिस का गाना है, मुझे तो तेरी लत लग गई, एक पिक्चर का गाना है ना। तो उसमें वो गाना गा रही है कि मुझे तो तेरी लत लग गई। तो मैं उनको कहता हूँ, ये जितने भी ब्रोकर्स है ना, जो पैसा लेके बोरो करके 0% पे इन्वेस्ट कर रहे थे मार्केट में, तो उनको आदत पड़ गई थी। और आज वो देखो, आज आप बीबीसी देखो, फॉरेन की न्यूज चैनल में देखो, उनके आंसू टपक रहे हैं। यूएस बढ़ा रहा है, यूके बढ़ा रहा है, यूरोप बढ़ा रहा है, सब कंट्री बढ़ा रहे हैं, इंडिया को छोड़ के सब बढ़ा रहे हैं। क्योंकि इंडिया वाले को पड़ी नहीं है सर, इधर कुछ पॉलिसी इशू जैसा कुछ है ही नहीं ना। दे आर नॉट बॉदर्ड अबाउट पीपल, आई एम टेलिंग यू। उनको पता है यहाँ सबके पास पैसा है, और नहीं तो ब्लैक तो है, और नहीं तो और भी है, और नहीं तो और भी है, तो चलता है। लोग फिर भी लोग गाड़ी ले रहे हैं, चला रहे हैं गाड़ी से। अब देखो एवरीडे मर्सिडीज बिक रहा है, BMW बिक रहा है, बेंटली बिक रहा है, तो उनको पता है। सो दे आर नॉट बॉदर्ड। आरबीआई इज लीस्ट बॉदर्ड अबाउट इन्फ्लेशन इन इंडिया।
करेक्ट।
हाँ, तो ये देखिए ना, आप इमेजिन करो, श्रीलंका इन्फ्लेशन मोर देन 60%, रशिया, ओके, रशिया को तो छोड़ गिनी नहीं रहा हूं मैं, यूएस का इन्फ्लेशन 8.5, ब्रिटेन इन्फ्लेशन मोर देन 10%, यूरोप इंफ्लेशन मोर देन 10%। वो लोग वरीड है, उनका दिखता है सेंट्रल बैंक बात करते हुए, कि नहीं पता। इज लीस्ट बॉदर्ड। आई एम शोइंग यू व्हाट इज हैपनिंग टू यू, यू ऑल पीपल। आप एक सिंपल लॉजिक लीजिए। मैंने एक बार बोला था सर मुखर्जी दादा, एक बार मैंने बोला था, देखो तुमने आरबीआई की जो एक्सपोर्टर से खरीदा 73 के अंदर, 74 में, 71 में, आज वही डॉलर तुम मार्केट में बेच रहे हो 80 रुपए में, तो उनको भी कुछ बेनिफिट दे दो ना, पास ऑन कर दो। बोले नहीं, वो कैसे देंगे? तो भैया हम फ्यू में बोला एक बार ही कि लेट देम पास ऑन सम बेनिफिट टू द एक्सपोर्टर्स थ्रू यू। They have no points to talk. See, this is what accepting.
So,
now, can I ask?
So, Mr. Gupta, thank you so much. I think there is no other questions from the audience. So I must thank you profusely for an excellent session, and we had a very active participation from the audience also. In case of any other questions that participants may like further clarification, you can always write to me, and we will pass on to Mr. Gupta. And I think, Mr. Gupta, it won't be a issue, right? We can always send you, and we can get a clarification.
Sir, I'll give you my email, number one.
Yes.
Number
please.
2, you all can subscribe my YouTube channel. I have recently started.
Right.
So.
Yeah, Mr. Gupta's email ID and mobile is also here.
Yeah.
So you can write directly to him or through
No
us.
problem.
Anything is fine.
You're welcome. And you can write to our Findex. There is no problem.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
we'll answer this from Findex also.
Yeah.
We'll take care about it. Acha, Chintan, you want to talk something?
Yeah. I'll just give a thank you note.
Yeah, let him. Yeah, he will talk.
Yeah, Chintan.
Yeah, thank you, MCI, for inviting us to present this webinar. I believe it's very informative and it was a good session overall. Again, talking more about Findex, actually, we are a Forex advisory firm. We started off almost 7 years back and we've been working with more than 700 corporates right now. Our team has more than 16 decades of experience, Mr. Gupta being one of the senior person who is associated with us. Talking more on the services, of course, as I said, we are into advisory services. Again, dollar rupee, as we all know, has been pretty volatile since last 6-7 months. The volatility has definitely increased. Again, today we saw it breaching 80 level. So now, an exporter as an importer, what are they supposed to do on the hedging, forecasting for a dollar rupee in the coming days? So that kind of advisory is provided. Along with that, we also go through your banking charges and sanctions and everything. If you think any of this needs to be renegotiated, of course, we'll help you with that as well. And working with so many companies does give us that privilege of knowing the charges of the bankers and the top corporates. Besides that, we are also into ECB pricing, EXIM, FEMA, regulation, trade finance. If anyone of you is looking for bias credit or any LC discounting facility, we also do provide that. Thanks a lot, everyone. Thanks a lot, MCI, for inviting us again. And we'll stay in touch. Thank you.